Hey, David, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Okay, so the CEO here is named Will Lewis. He's trying to restructure the Post at a difficult time for a lot of media. Circulation is down, and he's a deeply experienced guy, worked in British newspapers for many years. So what was the story about himself that he didn't want covered?
Well, Lewis faces accusations back in civil suits in London brought by Prince Harry, among others, that he was involved years ago in a cover-up. And that's a cover-up of a scandal involving illegal hacking into people's voicemails and emails by Rupert Murdoch's tabloids in their headlong pursuit of stories.
And then what happened this year when the Washington Post staff decided to report on its own CEO?
So Lewis has previously denied wrongdoing. He's done so again. It's important to note he's not a defendant in these civil suits, and he hasn't been prosecuted for any of this. At the same moment, he's at the core of a lot of these accusations, and he told Sally Busby, then the executive editor of the Washington Post, these stories simply weren't newsworthy and she shouldn't cover it. He accused Busby of a lapse in judgment in deciding to let her team go forward, although he didn't prevent it. Within about 3.5 weeks, that is at the beginning of this week on Sunday, Busby was forced out. My reporting shows that was part of a larger restructuring that would have diminished her authority over the newsroom, really split it in two. But a lot of staff is concerned that perhaps their coverage of him was part of the reason as well.
Oh, okay, wow. Well, when you heard all of this from sources inside the Post, what did you recall from your own past reporting on this same topic, this story about Will Lewis that he didn't want published?
We addressed this back in December. We really broke a lot of the details of this as new evidence surfaced in court in London detailing the allegations and the heft for it that he was involved in a cover-up. He and I spoke, as he has now acknowledged, off the record, but that off-the-record conversation had to do with the meat of the allegations against him, not about whether or not I should drop the story. And in fact, he did push me on a number of occasions to drop the story, offering me instead an exclusive about his plans for the Post's future.
So you're saying that in a conversation that wasn't off the record, he made a quid pro quo offer to you. Drop your story that I don't like, and I will give you a story, an exclusive interview that I do like. Is that it?
To misquote The Godfather, he gave me an offer I had to refuse.
Okay, and you did refuse this. You went ahead with the story then, and now you've published his effort at a quid pro quo, and Lewis has offered some on-the-record comments about all this. What does he have to say?
Right, he called me an employee rather than a journalist. Then he explicitly said I was an activist rather than a journalist working for NPR. He also said I dusted down comments that he had made 6 months ago and had made up some excuse to make a story of a non-story.
I notice he's not denying any of the facts of your story.
Well, he certainly doesn't deny pressuring me and to try to induce me to drop my story in exchange for an exclusive. He does deny having pressured his own former executive editor, but I've got to say, not only have we reported that he did that, the New York Times did, and his own reporters at the Post have done that. And what he's done is kind of launched a broadside attack on values held dear at the Post and elsewhere, of the idea of a firewall, insulating the newsroom from pressure from those that it covers, including those who run its business side.
David, thanks so much.
You bet.
That's NPR's David Folkenflik.
And now it's time again for StoryCorps. Karen Olivito loved Sunday school.
As soon as I went down into that musty, smelly, crayony, moldy room, I was home.
She never forgot that feeling. Karen grew up to become a pastor. Then, in 2016, she became the first openly gay bishop in the history of the United Methodist Church. Over the years, she received hate mail, even death threats, but Christian ministry never ceased to be her calling. At StoryCorps, she talked with her wife, Robin Ridenour.
Was there a time in your career as a pastor that you were worried that you would lose your ordination?
Well, I've worried about that for 42 years. I remember when Michael and Sean, they said, you know, Pastor, we would really love to have a Holy Union, and we know it's against church rules, but would you do it? And I said, well, of course. And the little old ladies did the reception, and we are dancing together afterwards. But then I had a complaint against my ministry. I was really worried. You have seen the hate I've received. I mean, I feared for my life. We had a bodyguard for 18 months. How has that made you feel?
I have to say, I don't have the grace you have. People that you love have just turned their backs on you. To see you so hurt and so wounded, and then to watch you forgive It's really, really hard because I can hold a grudge.
I appreciate that you feel that so deeply, maybe in ways that I'm afraid to touch.
Well, when you look at someone, they know that you are seeing them. I think who you are, that essence of you, is what people love.
You know, I never knew when I went to a church, would I be welcomed? I would have to prepare myself, and so I'd sit in the parking lot, and I'd say, God, give me an undefended heart. We always said, no matter what, we were going to lead with love.
Yeah.
We're going to lead with love.
Pastor Karen Olivito and her wife, Robin Ridenauer, they interviewed each other for StoryCorps in Billings, Montana. Last month, the United Methodist Church dropped a ban against openly gay clergy. This interview is archived at the Library of Congress.
Major support for StoryCorps comes from Dignity Memorial, helping families protect their loved ones and gain peace of mind by planning cremations and funerals in advance.
All right, enough of that. So, once again, man coming in and changing the word, which has been established. Homosexuality is an abomination. So, you know what I'm saying? You can't just change it and say, okay, it's okay to do this now. See, it's about money. Get that money, they'll do anything. Money, they will do anything to bring that coin. And it's sad because it doesn't matter what area you're talking about, whether it's spiritual or political or social or business, it doesn't matter. It's all capitalized, all about the money. Either they're trying to embezzle funds to do other things with that's supposed to go to services for the people, or they're overcharging you for goods and services. Yeah. Always trying to get over. And it's so sad. The only way to make America great again is to put morals back in people. And I don't think that's ever going to happen, you know, unless all of America gets saved. You know, people say what they want about the Bible and Christianity, but at its base, at its core, it's the greatest thing ever. Now, if you sit up and you take and you twist the message that it's bringing, of course, it becomes wicked because you transformed it into that. But at its core is holiness. Even to the situation people always say, oh, it's talking about slavery, it's talking about slaves obey your masters. It's not talking about what happened in America. It's not talking about that, okay? It's talking about indentured servitude. And if you study further, you'll see that on the year of Jubilee, all slaves were free. When did that happen in America? Huh? Yeah, exactly. So apparently they're discussing a whole different topic. But you know how ignorant people are. They don't care about the facts. They just want to have something to rant about, trying to get popular. It's all good though. Knowledge is power. Study to show yourself approved. You know? Not study to show yourself a fool. That's not what it says. So, be blessed, America. And remember, vote independent. We got to show the government we're not playing around with them anymore. It's high time that they started giving us the respect that's due. We pay for the country. Rich people don't pay taxes. It's everybody else that's paying taxes. Certainly not them. So why should their interests be furthered? Makes absolutely no sense to me. Be blessed.